Okay, great. A warm welcome to everybody here today. I I think there are some struggles with once you come on board, just raise up your hand so that I can see you and pull you in. So I think the conversation we want to have today is a very simple conversation. Our objectives are very clear, and our objectives are, we know what's going on in our nation today. We know about the protests, about NSAS, about Reform Nigerian Police, about end. There are many things we want to end in Nigeria, and we believe that a movement has started, a momentum is building. It has huge capacities to deliver on the goods. We also know that anything that is short term, so if the government comes up and says we have accepted what you are doing, and they say it's been accepted and it's good, we know that it will be short term, because if we don't have something that allows us to be able, sorry, I'm trying to enable him. I'm enabling his camera and I'm enabling his voice. So good. If you don't have something that allows us to be able to, welcome Sega, that allows us to be able to know that what is being done enters into legislation and enters into law, then what we have is temporary and it will not be sustained. Soldier goes, soldier come, somebody goes, leaves this place in such a way that it's what has been done it doesn't get sustained. We want to ensure that what is done is sustainable. We want to ensure that it's not just a mere promise. We all are aware of how they've banned SARS, they've destabilized this, and everything still comes back and goes like it does normally. Okay, we want all of that to change, and that is why we're saying we would like this to go in a way that allows it to be sustainable. We don't want a scenario where we do all the gymnastics and then it gets derailed. From peaceful, it becomes violent, and then people take over and something else is done. We want this to end well. We want this energy channel correctly. We like the way things are going, but we know that it's a few days away from total collapse. And we believe that in our own little ways, we can contribute something that basically adds to the narration, and allows us to be able to shift the way the narration is going, to ensure that this thing that is happening in Nigeria, is for the benefit of all. So today is going to be Q&A. There will be a little bit of precedent setting by Sega. Somebody saying, is Sega an ex-May? I don't know what ex-May is, so maybe you answer that when...
No, not ex-May.
Okay.
No, not ex-May.
Okay.
Or the cadet officer.
Okay, good. So, Sega, there's been a lot of conversation in many homes, in many houses since morning. There's been a little bit of serious debate, even in my own house. So I have I have the SARS, I have the generation that is actively pushing things forward in the streets, and I've been going for the protests in my house. And I have the generation of those who are backing from
behind. Of course.
Okay, so and the conversations are getting very heated. People have different perspectives. We're trying to blend those perspectives because we are all after the same thing. And it's not about a particular person. It's not as if anybody is seeking for leadership or it's about it's about Nigeria. And Nigeria belongs to all of us. Like you said in the morning, nobody is more Nigerian than any Nigerian. We're all equally Nigerian. We all want what is good for our nation. I have experienced police brutality. There's an article I'm going to write. The title of the article is "My First Night with Prostitutes." Okay, and you wonder what am I doing? What I'm doing with prostitutes is that we are carried together by police and we spend the night there. So there are horrible things that have gone on across the nation. That is important for us to be able to say enough of this. But in that conversation, in stirring that conversation, what we're looking for is how can this conversation be stirred in such a way that we're not getting fake promises. We're not getting fake, it has been done when it has not been done. We're not giving unrealistic timelines. We want things to be done, and we want to get it to a point where there's no point of reverse, even when government changes. So I realized that there are many things that people don't know. So people are saying there was no result for end SARS. There was no result at all until people began to protest. So I would like you to speak to that. Is there anything that has been done? Yes. Is there value to the protest?
Yeah.
And what value can we get from the protest? And then the questions can begin to come from the house, and I will facilitate for that to happen. So, Sega, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for this, and I really appreciate your moderation. And I've been learning a lot in the past few weeks in order to avoid the course of knowledge myself. I want to begin to address this as what I would tell my younger self if I happen to travel back in time and to see myself act this way, because I know I will have been on the street if I were to be younger, the same way. So I would really like to break it down. And what I would say is this: the police structure itself is Nigeria. That's why you must have heard over time that if you solve the problem of the police, you have solved the problem of Nigeria.
Yeah.
And because that's the closest authority to us, whether we like it or not, and it's also the state's monopoly of violence. So with that, it means that if the president wants to whittle down his own power, he will fix some things in the police, reduce the authority of the police, make them accountable, and then he won't be able to use them for certain things. So with that, that's like a concession on the side of our the head of our pseudo-democracy. I call it pseudo-democracy because our democracy is not perfect. When you have military men removing their uniform and wearing agbada, you are not really in. So with that, if you don't understand how power works, power is, and what power can become, then you are treading on dangerous ground. And some things you see on social media that look so innocent, so simple, they're complex ideas, they're complex policies, they're complex things that you dare not take for granted. Because there are things that you see as just catching fun, which is actually fixing some things in society. And I'll give you an example. The police is a unit, is like a community on its own. And our own environment is also like our society is also, a community. Now, there is a reason why police are kept in barracks. They are kept in barracks because the vestiges of military interregnum is still, that means the military rule as an oppressive life is still in our polity. Do you understand? To the point where if anything happens, these are people who have been dehumanized. These are the people that have been given some certain training that makes them look at you as if you are less superior than them. You are not as good as they are. So if they ask them to do anything to you, they don't have to hesitate to do those things, even if they are suffering, because they believe they belong to a higher authority. Now, this is how we have been living all our lives until a few months ago, when we passed the Police Act of 2020.
When was that passed?
Which repealed and replaced that was in February, thereabout.
Okay.
In February. It was passed around February, thereabout, before the lockdown. Now, it was done to democratize the police. In other words, it makes them accountable, it makes them respect the rule of law as well as fundamental human rights. And thirdly, it opens them to the civil society organizations. It's opened them
We're losing your voice a bit there.
to private security agencies. They bridge the gap between them and the system and the people. So that way, police cannot fully brutalize you the way they would have done because of the fear of certain elements who are not wearing uniform like them. So it's no longer a cultist operation. So between you and I, that's a huge gain, because this has never happened in 90 years of the police institution. Now, the question of salary, question of their housing, the question, because the other part of the act, which is another bill, which has become law, which was signed in 2 years ago, it has a 5-year lifespan, is the police trust fund. And with the police trust fund, we have better salaries for the police officers, better pension, training and retraining, and every single thing that has to do with fluidity of operation in terms of
There's a little cease.
salary. And police don't check on. Have to still apply to get things done. So life is always very difficult. It doesn't justify the impunity. I'm only trying to explain to you the kind of people you're dealing with. Now, when they see you, you are living life at full crush. You are enjoying yourself. You use a phone that can actually pay their gratuity twice. And then they hear about people committing crimes, people doing all sorts and getting away with it. Why they are protecting you carrying guns on the street without being able to feed So they are human beings. They are citizens too, but unfortunately, they are lower citizens to us, especially with the complication of the society, the complexity of the society in today's Nigeria. The society is in 2020. The police were living in 1943 all the while until this year. And that bill was an executive bill. It was the power of you, the citizenry, those who supported the hashtag NSAS Reform Police NG, not just NSAS. NSAS Reform Police NG and Reform and impunity restructure the entire police system, which is to an advantage police itself, and also an advantage to appreciate that movement. You never see police threatening me online, or I move around freely and everything, because they know that this is the first time somebody or some people or is galvanizing political will for a better life for them. But now, with the hijack of that hashtag in an adulterated manner towards an attack on the integrity of the state, you have drawn another battle line between the police and the society, which is a separate thing. It's not something, it's a mindset thing. You understand? It's like you have disrupted an ongoing conversation without, So the gains of the past is threatened right now with what is going on now, with the hostage situation we have now. So that's why sometimes you have some things you do ignorantly that destroy the works of years. And when change is derailed, you might have about another 50, 60 years before you can revisit it the same way. Which is why, rather than being angry, because of people think Sega is probably concerned because he thinks it should be about him, that is bigger than him. This is not about me. It is bigger than every one of us. It is about Nigeria. You have actually attacked the integrity of Nigeria as a state. This is an advocacy that government themselves cannot deny. This is an advocacy that have held government spellbound to the point that they are beginning to give in a lot of things. We have data sharing. There's no unit within the system that we're monitoring right now and not giving account publicly for. There's nobody who will report a crime of a police officer in this country today that will not arrest the police officer within 24 hours. And there will not be a trial going on. But it's because of fairness to that person, because they're citizens too. Okay, I'll give you an instance. You are somebody who got arrested for extorting a youth at the ATM machine. The moment you mention the person or the team or the squad, everybody is rounded up almost within 24 hours. We're calling you, please come around, come and identify these people. You reported to us, we have arrested the people on duty that day. Come and identify these people. You identified. Okay, this is the one that slapped me. This is the one that took my money. This one used the gun on me. Okay, good. We have identified them. You have written your statement. How much did they take from you? You said so amount. Is it true you took so amount for you? Is there anything you want to say contrary to this allegation? If they say yes or no, depending, they have the right to defend themselves in the orderly room trial. I wish I could take people on excursion to these things. Then we'll bring out the evidence. This is the account it came out from. This is around the period when you were patrolling. This is around the period where this money got deducted. Is there any other further question? Do you want to argue? They say, no, God, we did it. It was the devil. No problem. So they start facing their own stuff. The person writes the statement and go. They'll get back to him. After they have finished, concluded the investigation, which is always within 24 hours, orderly room trial, they will make recommendation. They stole at gunpoint. This is criminality. This is this. This is that. Automatically, they strip them of their rank. They put them in jail, and then sometimes they dismiss them instantly once they have confirmed, and then they send them to a regular court. They will expect the person who was robbed to come back and be ready to be a witness in the court case of that particular individual. It takes a while. Even in cases where police kill somebody, murder cases, families must be willing to do case. Apart from the criminal case that the state will do, there's also a room for civil case. And we have lawyers who are ready to stand by you for free. But the truth about our people is this. The moment they get their money back, you will never get their phone number again. They will never answer you again. Even if they pick your call with courtesy, they will tell you they had a family meeting and the herbalist of the family have told them not to do anything again on this matter. They should take their money and go because they don't want trouble. Meanwhile, you are not a human being. You're a meddlesome interloper from that moment on. You want case, family don't want case. You are not the witness. You are not there. You are just Boromi Deleru. And now you are trying to worsen the situation for the police. At that point, you are dancing on the fringe of being an enemy of the police because you are trying to incriminate them when the owner of the case are not willing to do case. Can you see the conundrum? This is my life in 4 years. So because in our society we are being built to think that when something is not affecting me, then it is not a problem. Whatever I do not know does not exist. A life of carefree, careless, and unconscionable life that does not make us realize that we are society. We don't live in a society. We are the society. And because you don't realize that you are society, you don't feel responsible for society. How many of your principal leaders in terms of your House of Rep, local government chairman, governor of your state, and then, can you call? Do you even have their number? Can you call that can answer you? After all, they owe you the duty of care enough to protect you from harm. Can you call any of them? Zero. And the few people who volunteer, citizens like you, who asked for nothing, who needed nothing from you, who just wanted a case where we can live in a peaceful society where nobody feels like we are all under siege, we cannot hurt ourselves because, you see, this is the paradox. We're doing this because we know we cannot allow it to continue. And we have built a platform for that, enough that the government knows what is happening there, to the point where police have units that these things get reported to. People who call me just want to speak or hear my voice directly. Normally, there's a normal phone call that they call, which is public. So it's not about me. If it's about me, I will have created a small business for myself where we have the call center, I'll be getting from. It's not so. Institutions. So Sega is not even in the picture. The only reason why I'm just based to say, okay, call me, let me take this call. If it's something I really answer to, me, just get it done. So a lot has been achieved over the years. And aside from the bills that have been, the laws that have been in place, the police themselves are already doing some restructuring within themselves. They are not reforming themselves because it is a police service commission. It is a House Committee on Police Affairs, Ministry of Police Affairs. Remember, there's a ministry. IG reports to a minister. The minister takes the vision of the government, of the administration, to the IG and back and forth till it gets back as a feedback to the president. So to tell you the dilemma of the advocates who have been in the region in this particular, it's not just me. We're a legion. There are lawyers. There are people within the fold. There are other credible organizations. What's it called? RULAC is there. So many other organizations are there. Clean Foundation is there. You understand? Plaque is there. These are a lot of organizations that put themselves together to ensure that these things get done. We manage the public advocacy as well as sitting down and forcing these lawmakers to ensure that this thing comes on time, because the delay is actually costing lives. And also, we also pull the police to ensure that they have a stopgap in place. All these wear uniform, don't go out unless you are called. All these are protocols that can change. And then there's also something called standard operating procedure. In other words, this is the rule of engagement. When you go out to work, you must not do this, you must not do that. If somebody says this is what you say. Today, now, based on this law, nobody can say you're under arrest without reading your Miranda right, Miranda warning. So are you telling me now that the police that we have now, the Jalilis and the Kabirus, will remember what the Miranda rights are without training? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So definitely things can't remain the same, because I can't be arrested unless I've been read my Miranda rights. If they take you to the station and they ask you, have you been read your Miranda rights? And you said no, that means there's no arrest that have been made. And besides, Kabiru, who arrested you, no longer have the right to investigate you. The arresting officer is not the investigating officer. Whosoever is going to investigate must have law backing. So you know how many things are going to be snuffed out of the system the way it is. So the law that is applicable, the major thing we need to focus on is ensuring implementation, full implementation, because that's the success of the law. And we're not going to open our eyes and go this far and not ensure it's implicated, because we don't want to go back to that time when our youth can't use phones, can't carry laptops, and can't move around in the age of computer.
Yeah.
So a lot of gains have been made.
So Sega, there are things I'm hearing today that I'm hearing for the first time.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's the case with many people as well. Many people are wondering, so you are saying that this is already happening, that police get rounded up in 24 hours when a report is made?
It has been happening for the past, since 2017. That's what we do.
Really?
Within 24 hours, I'm telling you.
So
have you ever heard?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that someone said that we called this person and nothing was done? It has happened. Within 24 hours, no matter how heavy the crime is. whether by SARS or STS or whatever.
Really? Now, so, but how do people report this? So how is this reported normally? What's the procedure for this?
Is that you call the toll free lines, the 0805 57 501 and 2, whichever one. That is 08057, then 501 or 2.
Okay.
So if you call any of those numbers, that's 08057 00000, then 1. Then you can another one, then 2 also.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Good to know. Now, there are a few questions.
So when you,
Go ahead. Yeah.
So what is happening out there is justified. It's legitimate. Your call for, answers. It is our call. The conversation has gone beyond the communique I'm reading. I'm reading a lot of things that the youth are asking for: purge, reconcile, reform. And all the conversation have gone beyond that. Release a report. So many things have gone beyond all those things that they are demanding now. You see, blame it on the National Orientation Agency. There's a little we can do. We can't continue to be the one to educate, to run for bills, to do this, to protect on the street. It's too much for an organization, even the collaboration of organizations. Government must be responsible. Hold them to account. We heard that you have passed the bill. What is this bill about? What is Lai Mohammed doing? We are hearing billions to chase hate speeches. What are you doing? How much are you dedicating to orientating Nigeria about the changes that we have in the criminal justice reform? We passed the police prison bill of late. Before now, prison used to be a warehouse, an ordinary warehouse. But now it has changed from a warehouse to a correction facility or a correctional facility. How many people have asked the question, what is changing? How are we effecting that, implementing that? Because it's not just the police that is corrupt, because that's the conductor, that's the entrance. When you go to court, when you are charged to court, whether you're innocent or not, what you're going to face between the court and the prison is worse than what police show you. That's why police threaten people to say, I will charge you this case to court, because they know that once you charge the case to court, there's no how 500,000 will come out, whether you have it or not.
Wow.
Because there are court lawyers who are ready to say, you need collateral for land. They have adjourned the case, but you have to remand you in Kirikiri. But if you can get somebody to come and guarantor and all, there is no guarantor who have a house in this vicinity. God knows whether it's VI they arrested you and you live in Ikorodu. If you don't have anybody within that jurisdiction of that court, finished. How many people do you know that have a house in VI? So there's somebody who commercially give his papers for bail or for guarantor. You go, you pay that person. You say bring 200,000, bring 300,000, bring so and so and so. When you pay, the officer that will go and inspect the property, they know who owns the property, they know where it is, so they say they have to go and inspect. That one too will demand his own. By the time you are done that day, after money has finally come out of you, you still go to Kirikiri. When you now get to Kirikiri, they will now ask you for rent. They will take the phone number of your family because they will tell you the kind of accommodation spaces that are there, controlled by the prisoners.
Different categories.
They will now begin to tell you, where do you want to stay? Because your family will pay. They will get their lot in prison before they can allow you to stay anywhere. If not, you will go and be raped inside somewhere else. So these are things Nigerians face. So there is factual reality and historical reality of the culture of impunity in Nigeria, which is why some Nigerians just prefer, you know what, I have a problem. How much do you want? Let me pay, let me go. But mind you, the money you are paying, it doesn't guarantee you freedom tomorrow. There's no get out of jail free card. There are people we've seen who get arrested 4 days in a week. And out of all these 4 days, 20, 30, 40,000, that's how they keep giving it. Until our intervention started. And then since then, of course, when they see them, say, we don't want trouble. I can't count the number of Ogudu cases, area H. I can't count. They're all over the place. We have a graph, a data, which they will release today. We're not releasing these things because we don't want it to look as if we're pulling down an institution that we're supposed to be strengthening. At the same time, we're dealing with the issues, showing them, look at for example, before this protest broke out, we have been telling the IG that, look, we have mapped the impunity of police, and we have looked at the states where there are peaks. Yes. If we identify the CPs in these states and remove them, we will not have insurrection on our hands. But of course, that report got hidden by certain people within the police system. It didn't get to the IG. Which is what I'm telling you, that sometimes when you do a lot of things on the street, it will still have to go through the chain of command. Within the chain of command, there are enemies of Nigeria. There are enemies of our democracy. There are enemies of our union who will, anything that doesn't bring money to their pocket, they will never facilitate it. So the IG can only work on what was brought to him. He never saw it until I went there that day to say, where are all the files that we have been sending and details and information on all the cases we'll be doing in the UK, across the world with Nigerian citizens based on this criminality of police? Where are all the files? Where are all the stuff? I got the original file. I said, oh yeah, okay, this is the file. This is the man in charge. This is the head of so and so. He has been sending this report. How come you have not seen? Before they realized that the people in the place have connived never to let the IG see the pulse on the street enough to be able to do something about it. So you can see the problem. So the people who came in, who doesn't understand what a movement is. A social movement is not a political party. Neither is it a mass fad or trend. You understand? It is not. Sorry, that was some channel TV just broke into my call. Okay. I will switch it off. Don't worry.
It's still freezing.
Just hold on. Let me just tell you.
Okay.
I'll just send you a message now.
Okay. So while you are
we're back.
Okay, great.
Okay. So it is not an organized, fleeting, and without goals environment where anybody can just do what they like. You don't just come on Twitter, pick a hashtag, start raising funds with it, no contact, no nothing. You don't do that. You don't know what it's about. You don't know what you damage you such. Especially something relating to the most critical institution in the country. It is not a toy. It's not a joke. You pay a few people who are idle at home to start cursing people out so that you can cause enough distraction and then join multitudes to do evil, organize people to incite people against a state because you want popularity, you want to be talking on the news. Jesus Christ. It's not done. That's one of the reasons why we decided to carry people along, let them know what is going on. We do this on a daily basis. I don't do any other thing social on Twitter other than engaging the public to let them know what is happening on the bridge between the government and the people. We're not closer to the government, we're not closer to the people, but we see both sides enough to bring you to the table. And if there's any problem that will lead you to the streets, we are your best bet to be able to say, the arbiter who will listen to what you've got to say, crystallize the whole thing and say, look, they are not criminals, so they are not this, so don't start like you have started with us. This is what they're saying, and you should hold them. You should be able to engage them somewhere. That way, government will not have any cause to doubt anyway, because they now know we have made their job easier. We have sieved the information enough for them to see how clear it is. You look at how fast the president approved all the things. Oh, you want 505? No problem. You want this? No problem. Because the information have been made easy. It wasn't about argument within some people, prejudices and suppositions. It wasn't about that.
Okay. There are a few questions bubbling up. I'd like you to be able to just hit them so that people don't have their questions holding. Somebody is saying that should the police continue to be kept in the barracks? Should there not be a move to resettle them among citizens as obtained in other societies as part of the longer term changes?
Yeah, that's why we have the principle and the philosophy of community policing. The philosophy of community policing is such that the police no longer have to engage society only when they're investigating prosecuting criminality. You see police officers coming to your house to welcome a new baby. You see police officer representatives coming to your landlord association to give a talk on community on your security within the community. You see police officers coming to the market groups, all these street organization and Okada Riders Association to engage them, to ask them what exactly are the problems you're facing with the authorities, so that we can know how to solve it, so that we can meet each other somewhere. That way, I don't just see you and say, Okada Rider, we are bringing 50 naira. We're already engaging ourselves. The association can be, we are filling police vehicle, and police too in return will say, if there's any issue that you want us to do, we'll be able to solve it with you. Maybe you did hire purchase, somebody, but you bought Okada from somebody, you didn't pay, they can help you settle it. Arbitration is one of police duty. So that way, that gap is bridged to the point where officers that you know his name already, that have been long enough in the society, you are not strangers to each other, strangers, and it can't hurt you, it can't harm you. So also in schools, they go to schools to teach. Children will write something about their favorite police officer. They want to be like him when they grow up. They see the positive sides. They talk about on career day, police will come. But now, because of the way police have been bastardized, it's always shameful for police. If your father works in last mile or police, they can't come to career day because of shame. Because for the rest of your life will never be the same. You understand? Within your peers. So that's why we want to, the image of the police, they need to win trust in service. And that's one of the things that the Police Act have done, to democratize them and reposition them for enhanced service delivery to the people. And that orientation is going on as we speak. All the new trainings that you have for the new tactical squad, for the new people coming into the constabulary, so I said the constables, the one they are being recruited, the one currently being recruited, their training has incorporated all these things that have been provided for. But again, the police, as a word, there's so many, they have too much trouble, buffeting them to educate the people. That's one of the problems we have. Every time they come on here, they're trying to parade criminals to show that they are working and all. Nothing about the orientation about what the policing is actually doing within the society. You understand? What exactly are they? What gap are they filling? What is the difference between the police under the 1943 Act and the police now? So the idea of community policing is not about the handshake between Amotekun and police. No, it's not about entering the forest with vigilantes. No. Community policing is basically about understanding society, coming close to the society, cancelling barracking. You see, the idea of barracking is military. The police must live amongst us. They must shut down the barrack, pull those 80-year-old building down, turn it into a research facility or what have you. Let the police live in estates around us. Build shopping malls for policing, where they can have free credit card or debit card that they can use for credit. They can buy stuff on credit depending on their cadre and all. So they can live. They can feel human. They can feel that the society care about them. Their offices, the minimum requirement for police stations must look like a microfinance bank. Not a place where criminals, prostitutes, and everything will meet each other at the counter. No. When you arrest somebody, it shouldn't be seen out there. Because it could be a wrongful arrest. You have stigmatized the person. They must come in through a particular door where their attorneys will meet them. So these are things that have been done. And again, with the new Police Act, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, 2015, as well as other laws that are pertaining to the criminal justice system, will also gain strength and gain prominence with this. Because we are not taking chances. Government will never take chances with police matter again because of what has happened now. Both the protest, because like I said, the protest has its place. You guys have done well. You did well with this. I commend you. But when the ovation is loudest, know when to step back. Because right now, we're dealing with the criminality, we're dealing with treason. I don't know if the government will be forgiving. This has gone too far. There are economic costs, there are human costs, there are social costs. When you hear it, you'll be shocked of what has happened within the days. People who died in traffic, people who have lost business and the rest, government will take it high because the government is government to everybody. Both the grieving, the angry, and those who are wondering what's happening. Government whole is supposed to be accountable to everyone.
Okay. There's another question here. Somebody is saying, you said something about that it will solve the police problem. We have solved the Nigerian problem. Is it not the other way around? Yeah. That is it not that if you solve the Nigerian problem, the police issue, is the police not a mirror of us?
Yeah, police is a mirror of us. Yeah, and also you cannot actually fully reform a police without reform. Like when a flower is withering in a farm, you don't change the flower, you change the environment. So if you fix the environment, you fix the flower. But sometimes with the police case, it's a cyclical thing. Because again, remember I told you once that in a civilization, we have two pillars: law and order and taxation. Who enforces law and order? It is the police. So if we don't have a credible police to enforce law and order, how do you want to fix society? How do you enforce the laws that you have put? So that's why it's sometimes good. It's a question of the chicken and the egg somewhat. But at the same time, it is very important for you to fix the police because that is what you use to enforce the law. So it's best they know the law. It's best they operate lawfully. It's best they understand the rule of law enough to be able to now use them to enforce certain things. Because when we know that now police cannot just arrest you without you doing something. Imagine how society becomes when they see police in front of your house and they know that this is a different kind of police. This is not a community policing antic. And also remember, the philosophy, we're using a twin philosophy now. Apart from the community policing philosophy and principle, we're using also the intelligence-driven policing, which over time we phase out the AK-47 that is in our society.
Mm.
So that way, in London, they don't use guns. Our police in London don't carry guns. And they are still law enforcers. And it's still a police state. In France, you don't see police fully armed. But if you offend a police officer in France, you are coming home if you are a Nigerian. If you are from any other country. They are respected. In fact, they own the place. I've had an experience. You know, so it's not even funny. They don't even joke with you because their salary is intact, their pension is intact, they have benefit, they don't need to pay deposit for their mortgage. Everything works for them. They are good. There's no amount of bribe that will take from you. And again, it's also a patriotic act. In Nigeria, how many police officers join the police because they want to serve their nation? It's because there's no job, there's nothing to do. Let me just go and put my head somewhere, maybe at least at all, anybody. You understand? So that again is something. So there's no justification for the killings and for the impunity, you know, but at the same time, because again, you're nobody forced you, are not conscripted to join the police. You are not conscripted to join the police. You can resign if the salary is not good enough for you. Some people don't have jobs and are not killing everybody because of that. So because you are in the police and there's no money, you know. So, but again, these people are serving their nation. I know police officers who are in the tactical squad who get posted to places.
Get posted to where?
For political, maybe election and all. Some are even posted out of state. For like a year or two, they will never get accommodation anywhere. And their salaries will not come on time. Their pension is not, two people within the same rank don't have the same salary because of different deduction that they cannot question. And then you be rude to that kind of person and you think you will not blow your heads off. Some of them have post-traumatic stress syndrome already inside them. And they don't know. Okay, I'll give you an example. There was one gentleman I know, he was in SARS, Lagos. And one day he was driving home and a last month officer jumped in front of him. He didn't know. Within the split of a second, he came out of his car. He has a secondary weapon. He has a normal, AK-47 in his car. And he emptied his gun into this guy.
Wow.
And he killed himself afterward. He didn't shoot anybody else. There were crowd there. No, he didn't shoot anybody in the mob. He killed himself. He killed the guy. And that was it. That guy is the most gentle person in his squad. He has nobody knows how his voice sounds like. Very cool, very gentle, very easygoing. Wow. What happened within that period where that police stopped? This is not a ragtag. I'm talking about leaks, as in they are very neat. I doubt if, because since 2017 that we had the launch of NSAS, SARS themselves in Lagos, for example, they stopped patrol. But the people you see around are the unofficial SARS that was created by the divisions. The ones they have in Bagada, the ones they have in different places. Then the police officers that remove their shirt and wear one foolish t-shirt like this and carry korokwe, one small bus like this, that they will stop people inside and then be collecting money, kidnapping people up and down. You understand? Those ones are not SARS. Because anybody who doesn't wear uniform in Nigeria today is SARS. That's why people are saying they are still on the road. They didn't ban them. These are not SARS. These are officers who are doing their routine patrol, who feels uniform is too hot for them to wear in the evening. So they are not SARS officers. So these are some anomalies that still need to be fixed at that level. And now that the law have made it important for police officers who are senior officers, AIGs, CPs, and the rest of them to be responsible for the vicarious liability. In other words, if you are still under my service, if I have a driver who is working with me from 9 to 5, then 9 to 5, by 4 o'clock, I sent him to go and do something, and he hit somebody with a car and the person died. I'm the one that killed somebody. Vicarious liability. So with that, the IG, the AIGs, the CPs, the DPOs, they are all responsible for any crime that's committed, especially if it leads to murder. So with this, everybody will be very careful. The lectures will not be very rampant that, look, we must do this, we must do that, this must be done, this must be done. All these things will not be announced because it's a security issue. But we are telling you now that that's why if you report a police officer, despite the fact that the laws have been more stringent now, and they are more likely, we are pushing for capital punishment for any police officer who use Nigerian state's gun to rob anybody. All we beg of you is for you to testify. Just tell us, this is what has happened. I am ready to write my statement. I'm ready to appear in court. It's just once or twice they will ask you to appear and the case is done. If we don't bring these people to book, they don't believe that there's no longer impunity. Impunity is, I do this, I can get away with it. I will kill you and nothing will happen. But now something has started happening. Before we started our advocacy, nobody gets named for killing anybody. No police officer gets named for killing somebody. They'll say it's accidental discharge. They say we don't know who killed them. They will defend themselves. But since we started in 2017, every single murder by police, we know the people by name, we have their picture, we are following up the cases. And we have our lawyers that are following up. Citizen Gavel has a lot of cases like that. And we increase the number of lawyers that we have handling different things. And it's not just about police. Institutional impunity. First Bank, for some years, when people make transaction, it didn't go through. They are asking for their money back. It didn't get there. Their lawyers wrote them. They didn't answer. And they report. If we have a lot of cases like that, we'll confront them, we'll write them, and make them famous for their impunity. And we have settled a lot of cases out of court like that, where people were paid compensations in millions for this. So it's not just about police per se, because you say it's beyond SARS. I know, institutional reforms, holistic one.
Sega, are you saying that James Nwafo that they're looking for? What's the problem with that
Yes.
one?
James Nwafo's case is already in the burner. You understand?
Yeah.
The force headquarters is handling that, and they will release a statement as far as that is concerned.
Okay.
We discussed this yesterday, and it will be made public very soon. Remember, these people have rights as well. Once a report has been made, investigations will go on. Once you are above a particular level, CSP and above, we can't do orderly room trial. They don't do orderly room trial for such. It is going to be the Police Service Commission, a disciplinary committees of AIGs and DIGs that will sit on that. And they always compile this issue. That's one of the reforms that we're looking at, where the Police Service Commission will not be doing seasonal meeting, be spending 1 year to try a single case. If not that, most of the crimes are committed by other ranks, we won't have the kind of success that we have today. If they are senior officers and the rest of it, will take a long time. You can take 6 months or 1 year. I'm sure you saw the news that some people were punished for some officers were punished with demotions, some of them were reprimanded, Fakorede, and some other people and the rest. Do you know when the petition against them came? This was not 2 years, it was more like 2 years ago. And look at when the result is coming out. So we can't afford to have this. And also the office of the Police Service Commission must not be under the IG. Because if the IG is paying for my activities to discipline the people, the police officers, then if he doesn't pay, what happens? I won't work. I can't work. I'm crippled. So which is why they need to be independent, funded independent, and the way they should be constituted, they should not be headed by a former IG. They are part of the problem.
Okay. So someone is asking here, Segalink, that he never knew that Segalink was more than a handle. That, how can we educate people about these things that have been done? So people don't know what is being done. So it's looking like nothing is being done. And then, of course, the protest is looking like, yes, this is what's getting the attention and this is what's getting things done. How do we ensure that beyond the Twitter community, people actually know the rights that they have, the things that have been done, so that we can, people can know, okay, look, this is what is being done. This is what now needs to be done. Because all of this agitation as well needs to lead to legislation, needs to lead to things signed into place. And then I'm seeing now that legislation is not even enough if people don't know that has happened.
Exactly. What their rights are. Yeah. Implementation is key. But again, these laws are new. So it's not that we've had them for too long. There are things we've been working on for a while till we got the result from it from the presidency and the legislature. The newspaper was there. People don't read newspaper in this age. We are on social media. The newspaper was there when they said stakeholders should bring reports. I have several reports from different stakeholders. A report from the military, different from them. There's different people bring reports. When you're calling for stakeholders, people bring their contribution. So before a law is put together, there are different organizations, different military institutions, different institutions of state will submit their own thoughts because we are all interfacing with each other. We live in the same society and we all have stakes. So when they bring it together, then the board, technical committee will sit down and look at all the provisions that have been put, and then they will structure it out, and then they will now have to check with the Constitution of 1999 as amended to ensure that they don't conflict each other. So the work it takes time to legislate. And again, legislation also includes or involves Ghana Must Goes. But of course, this administration refused to do Ghana Must Go during the last, the 8th assembly. They refused to do to Ghana Must Go. They said, if you can get them to sign the bill, to bring out the bill, we will sign it. So you can see how difficult it gets. Your lawmakers don't always come to the chambers. They come once in a while when the cameras will be rolling. You understand? So to get them to come, to get them to do the needful, it takes a lot. So people went through all that hell to finally get the president to whittle down his own power and to give us the kind of police that mirrors society. And then we insult the whole thing. And they can't blame anybody because people don't know. You can't blame people for what they don't know. I expect that the National Orientation Agency and even the police themselves, anyway, the police take instructions, so they can't sell themselves. But the National Orientation Agency can actually do all these things and let us know the reposition of the police. So that's the issue.
I think we need to find out who is heading the National Orientation Agency, because
exactly.
I can see a lot of gaps here.
That's why I keep saying it.
Yeah, because people are asking you now, how come these things are done and nobody knows? As if it's your job to be publicizing it.
It's not my job. We're only contributing. And I can't become the voice of the state. The little we can do is to stand in the gap and protect the vulnerable in society, keep you from harm's way. At the same time, ensure that the government, actually are responsible for what they are supposed to be responsible for.
Okay, so I think Ebele Alaka, I can see your question. I think one of the work cut out for us in this meeting is the responsibility of making public what has been done, making available those toll numbers, pending when we're able to engage the institutions that are supposed to really be making it known that there are reforms happening this way, and this is a responsibility that we need to have. Because the person is asking, she's asking, why are the free toll numbers not out? Why are police and DSS harassing people even yesterday? How come they're harassing people even yesterday? So it's because we don't know.
The harassment. Okay. Yeah. When you talk about harassment, when you talk about a bill has been passed, laws have been made, and all, I keep saying it. There's no switch to culture. The culture is a way of life. It's an iteration of what has been happening, what people have been, engaging over time that becomes, mundane, that becomes something that you are actually doing on a regular basis. So people who are used to impunity, they're used to harassing people, they won't stop overnight. Okay? They will stop based on, they have started arresting people, capital punishment for doing this. Citizens are now king, we are serving them with our bosses, so that will now become, that will now become the new deal, the new ways of engagement. Over time, when you go to police station now, all the things they used to do before, they won't be able to do it again over time. But we are getting there. It's not going to be immediate. Okay. But again, note that every single police officer who shot at protesters, who abused anybody or who beat up anybody, we're mopping up the whole thing. But the only thing is this, please, when you are called upon as somebody who complained that they did this to me, please show up. Please show up. Because if you don't show up, we are hurting the rights of those police officers. There are issues where we've kept police officers for 2 weeks in detention and the witness did not come. There's no how you can keep them for that long. Even amongst themselves, police cannot do themselves in. They are one and the same. They will say it's not also, it's this man, it's these people that used to do NSAS. They're the ones that, if you say, no, go do this thing now, and they don't catch you down, we say, we are not the one that is them. And once it is us, there's no begging. Once it is us, there's no permissita, keep me at home, don't keep me outside. There's no such thing. Once it is us, it's about justice, because we want the public perception to be that once a police officer is reported, he's in soup, both on both sides. So that's why we're not friends to anybody. And that's why the fear is there. I call it respect, but people call it fear. Because if we are to sanitize society, we have to be committed.
Okay, moving on quickly. Someone says, hi, Segalink. I've read some Twitter feeds and it appears they are nominating leaders for the hijacked movements. What's your opinion on that? For your information, your code name in those circles is Nintendo.
It's interesting. Like I said, I have nothing against them. I appreciate them. These are young people. I keep saying it. They're young people. I have a lot of them running around this house, and I wouldn't want any harm to come to them. What they did, obviously, is just youthful exuberance and the rest. They don't know how it is. It's fun. They're doing this. They're the one there and all. They're not, even amongst them. I keep telling you, if you put Nigerians together in a sinking ship, rather than for them to put their head together and save each other, they will first be fighting about who is going to be captain until they drown. And I know this. The longer this protest takes, the more fracture they will have. Now you tell somebody to open the road, they say, why should we listen to you? Everybody is a leader. And the fact that everybody is a leader does not mean there are interests who are pulling strings. Do you understand? So I expect, I can't represent you. I am not a youth. I'm in my 40s. I'm not doing this because I will be harassed by police, or my children will be harassed by police, or my wife will be harassed, but I'm doing it because of you. You share society with my children. We are all society. If I can't protect you, then the future of my children is at stake as well. Because, when they look at each other, some will be looking at themselves as privileged, and someone will look at themselves as less privileged, and that must not happen. We must fix society for all of us, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing, and this organization is doing what it's doing, and the collaboration with the organizations are doing what they are doing, because they know what is at stake. We must leave a better legacy for all our children. So if they're choosing reps for themselves, it's better. All this, we're leaderless, we're this and that and that. It may be fun when you are recording it on camera to show it for documentaries. In reality, governments, every single thing, look at all the battles and wars and all, it ends up on a table. They must negotiate with you. They must sit down at a table with you. But again, before government can even take it seriously to be worthy of negotiating with, there are certain things, checks and balances that they need to get to see whether it's even worth it in the first instance. Government will not sit at tables with terrorists. Of course, when you're not doing this, the hostage situation, people are dying in traffic, you are holding stuff, you are giving demands, you're changing your demands on a daily basis and all, you open a radio station. That's right. This is treason. Even Twitter rules, they are clear. You cannot gather people together and lead them to incite the public against the state. It's a crime. It's a cyber crime. And that's one of my worries. That's why I'm doing these people. It's not about me. I'm not trying to control you. I'm just trying to let you know, understand whatever. But curses, abuses, they're even paying people to stay on your handle, anything you write. They should bombard you with curses. They should abuse you. They should do stuff. And I'm wondering, and I keep telling the leaders, the pastors I've spoken to, what is playing on out there is the failure of society, failure of family. How many of the parents of these ones speak with them? How many of them engage them? How many of them can even sit down with them and talk to them for 1 hour? They argue with their parent at home, obviously, because you can see. And I was trying to tell them, this is how they interpret all the things that you could be rude, that you could be this. That's not how I see you. If I see you that way, I won't be on Twitter. I've been on Twitter for 12 whole years, giving you free lectures. None of you can afford my classes if I were to be in an institution. Because if you can afford my classes, you will know how movement runs, how advocacy runs, the difference between campaigns and whatever. You will know the rudiments. You won't do this rubbish that has been done out here.
Okay. Somebody is saying this, Sega. It says you have spent a lot of time criticizing the current wave of protests. Will you agree that these protests have helped amplify the cause you have been fighting?
I am not fighting to start with. And I've admitted that you don't have to fight anything, really. That's a wiring over of years. You don't have to fight anything. All you have to do is to state your position. I'm standing for this. And these are the things I've noticed. This is where we are. This is where we're coming from. This is where we are. These are the laws. This is where we hope to be. And these are the authorities I'm engaging. And this is the political will. You raise the campaign, educate the public, let them know what you're working for. People who see the advocacy and the importance will join you. You don't bully people to do what you want to do. I am not criticizing. I'm not spending time criticizing. I'm just trying to let you see precisely what is playing out now, how it can be better for next time, and all. I don't have any hard feelings against anyone, but I'm simply saying that let us correct this before it gets out of hand. I've been hearing noises flying over the roof of my house. You understand? And I don't want that to be. I pray that it has nothing to do with what's happening on the street. I pray, because government will say we have done enough. We have tried. We waited for this to go up, and it was not abated. And people are suffering. They are crying already to government, and they are government to everybody, and they have to protect the rights of everybody. It should be justified.
I understand that.
So it's not that I'm spending time to criticize. I'm simply saying your right to protest as citizens, even without the incitement, without the shadow hands of other people who have other ideas, it helped. It helped in the sense that there are certain things that governments were dragging their foot on, okay, that they see that, we cannot afford to continue because we will also be at fault. And I blame them for it. If you notice, there's a reason why on the media, if you watch all my interviews, I backed all these people up. I never showed any fracture or any failure of communication within the whole thing. I supported them. I said, you have the right to do this. You have the right to do that. Despite the insults, despite the whatever and all, despite the coordinated attacks, I still said, it is in their place to do this, just to buy time for them to get their act together. On Twitter, where we all read for myself, I always tell you, this is that, please. And again, I said today, I'm speaking as a parent. I'm not speaking as, as somebody who is running advocacy or as a bridge builder, or I'm saying, government, please don't look at this as government. Look at it as parents, as if these are your children, because you have children like them too.
Sure.
And that is not to say to be condescending. I'm trying to look for other grounds.
To a line, yeah.
Compassionate grounds where they can view this and not take it as a crime. Because one thing about government is setting of deterrence, making sure that nobody tries this again, making an example enough that nobody even tries this again. I can't dictate how that is done. I am not a public office holder. I'm an ordinary Nigerian who is just contributing his own little good. I don't control government. You understand? Regardless of what people say. So this is exactly what I'm saying, that mistakes have been made. Let's come back to table, whatever it is. Let us look at how things can be done. Let us open the roads. I'm not saying you should stop protesting. You can't. You're a digital generation. You can use your phone. We did all the things we did with Twitter and engagement with authorities. We didn't block road. You understand?
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, they won't bring protesters to the table to write policies.
Okay, very good. I'd like us to, advance quickly as well. Like quite a few questions mounting up. Somebody's saying, okay, I think someone can be answered very quickly. It says, all this is great and the dream, but how long will it take before we see any real change? Any sort of change? How long will it take? And somebody as a corollary to that, somebody is saying, what is the guarantee that if people come and testify that they are safe?
In the history of our organization, not a single soul has reported monetary retribution for complaining about a police officer, including those who reported an officer that shot somebody, that killed somebody. Nothing like that has happened. It doesn't really happen. It doesn't exist. So if you can be bold enough to say, this guy did this to me, the justice will be served. That's all we need. You are guaranteed. Before, when we started in 2017-18, we used to do this custody thing where we give you witness protection and the rest. Expensive, but at least we do it. Okay, but now we don't do it any longer. But we give you, we attach people to you to at least if there's anything, call this number. If there's anything, whatever, we put people there who patrol your area just in case. RRS has been doing that for us. When on Twitter a few days ago they said, some people came to Feishara Street. They were a police officer were trying to whatever. It was false, because Street, within an hour of that tweet, in fact less than an hour, officers were there at Feishara Street, knocking on all gates to find out who and where did they raid. The guards were sleeping at full crush. They didn't raid. There was nothing like that in that place. They took us around. There was nothing like that. DPO was there. Everybody was there. RRS commander was there around 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. Do you understand? So it's the security situation, especially in Lagos, is swifter than you can imagine. And so impunity also, there's no room for it any longer. Most of the echoes you hear today are things that have happened before and the fear of a repetition. And the latest cases are handled almost immediately, because I'm not friends with any CP. The authorities themselves are not friends with any TP themselves. You understand? So
okay, great.
That thing.
Dr. Wandekambi is asking, he's saying you do nice engagements, good job to Sega. I disagree that protest should cease. We need to see traction from the government at all the levels. What we should be.
I did not say protest should cease. I said open the road and don't let your goodwill, don't wither your goodwill, don't destroy the narrative. Your own narrative has nothing to do with me. Remember, advocacy had finished. Where your protest stop, advocacy continues. You agree? Right now, advocacy is at bay because SARS has been ended. We are monitoring their rehabilitation and the rest, and the training of the other ones. We are monitoring prisons and hideouts of SARS operators, the cells and dungeons to release people and all. We're also, as aware, we're also engaging in reform. Reforms have started. The bills are there. We're ruling out things, asking questions and all. So as far as the advocacy is concerned, it's a success on its own, and it's still going. So this protest is your thing. This is the youth game. It's none of this has nothing to do with us. We're only guiding you, so you away from criminality. So I'm not saying stop protesting. You can continue to protest on your phone. You can even still be on the street, but don't let other people start complaining to government and crying out to government that protesters are not letting us live our life. Do you understand? Thugs too are citizens. If they start stabbing people as their own way of protesting, it will look as if there's going to be chaos, and government will have to move in at some point. They will not be able to justify allowing chaos to reign, at the expense of what? Tantrums? Especially when you are not even set on what you want. I've read about different kinds of demands from yesterday to today, and there's no coherence. And the few ones I've read, it's disappointing that this is exactly what you are shutting down the roads for. So, like I said, next time when there is going to be a protest, define what you are doing properly, because you just played on a sentiment of an ongoing conversation. You know that if you say NSAS, people will come out because people are already tired of police. But you did not define what you're bringing to the table. Hashtag belongs to everybody anyways. Nobody is saying, it's my father's name. I'm saying you can use it's yours. It was created for you. But when you want to engage it, show what you're bringing to the table, stick to your stuff, then show your force, then step back and be respected. Leave the rest to the imagination of the authorities that, these people, if they come back again, they might shut down the airport, they might whatever. By then you have a bargaining chip. Right now, the opportunity is weakling.
Yeah, it's whittling. I can see that as well. Okay, thank you very much, Josega. Someone's asking here as well. One of the many problems with the Nigerian police is that the police can disappear into the system after arrest. Are there ways to implement a central database for all arrested citizens?
Yes, sir. There's something called the custody management system. No police officer can detain you without you being registered into that. And that's going to be implemented soon, to be run by private citizens who work within police stations. In other words, our police station will not continue to look like Babalawo houses, because they need to have ACs, because you're going to have databases there. We're going to have different things. National orientation agencies have a lot of offices for local governments. Okay. And because of that, there's no point where we cannot have, data management, that database systems within police stations themselves, so that the moment your fingerprints have been taken, your biometrics have been taken, your records goes on. Like before, when you are a thief in Benin, you can come to Lagos and throw party because nobody knows what you have done. There's no record. But forthwith, with the implementation that is going on, if you're arrested anywhere and your fingerprints are taken, you are in the database. You already have the records are there. So if anybody gets arrested, all we have to do with the app, from the organizations that are within the space or working with the police, you will have an app that you can use to actually check with the name of the person, where he was arrested, when he was arrested, what he was arrested for, and how long he has been arrested for. So the moment that person is being held for more than 48 hours, you will see an amber light to show that human rights offenses have been committed in Soso police station. Somebody is being kept against their will beyond a particular period, and they are not being charged to court. That way, all you have to do is just call the DPO, send the names there, and then they are already indicted. Whatever that person has done, that person is walking free. So with that kind of system in place, things will be far more sane than what they are today. And it's not something that is far-fetched. It's just a matter of time where by the time, I'm sure right now we have the police trust fund bill, which is supposed to fund all these things, is already in gear. I don't know whether they've started making deductions in the 0.05% of deductions from different sectors and all. Once that one start coming in, the money is not going to be used to build barracks, like some people have been saying. You're not going to allow that to happen. It's meant to train the police and retrain the police to fix infrastructure and to ensure that they have what they need, to operate with fluidity. So that's that. And again, the police trust fund will also enable us, organizations, do some things for the police. You can give them fuel voucher, to be able to buy fuel for their vehicle. You can supply them computers and do trainings for them. It won't be a bribe because the law permits it. But again, it must be open. It must be clear that you are doing this and all. So that way, police can now be closer to you also, because they know what you're contributing to them.
Okay. So I want us to bring this to a head in the next 16 minutes so that we'll spend 1 hour, 30 minutes doing this. Like I said, it's being recorded, so this will be useful for all the listeners. People are listening from Facebook as well. Now, Sega, I'd like you to put this one to rest very well, because people are a bit conflicted in their understanding. I will try to do a little justice to it as well, but I like you to answer it. So somebody is saying, God bless you, well done. It says just within the few hours of sharing about this webinar, some people have shared different opinions about you. Some feel you are sitting on the fence. Others think you are seeking to lead this movement and claim some glory by saying you started NSAS. How do you respond to these statements? Now, before you respond, I'd like to say something. Somebody else is saying, I don't think Sega, I'm very disappointed. I think Sega should support the youths and all that. Now, if before he says anything, let me make this very clear. Nobody wants to take ownership of something that is going to claim lives. And because my own philosophy is, I cannot say I am leading you if I cannot tell you what to do. If I cannot tell you slow down and you slow down. If I can't tell you go faster, you go faster. If I claim that I'm involved with you, then I will be, it's a vicarious liability. So I think the most important thing to do, I think it's a fantastic thing they are doing. And, like somebody said, we can lift up our hand like Moses and say, okay, good, be walking towards the water, it will part. But the reality is, when the protest, now there's protest, there's advocacy. The fire of the protest will make advocacy go faster, but they need to work in tandem. And protest needs to be catch and release. If it's going on unending, it will come to a point where it will be derailed, because the people that are being held back from their homes are also citizens. Only me.
Mm-hmm.
I can share plenty of cases of police brutality personally in the last 18 years. Only me as well. In this instance, I can tell you how I tried to go to the island and come back, and I had to sleep in the house of somebody that I have never seen before because the road was blocked. I have to look for somebody somewhere around. Everything was jammed, and I went to somebody and I slept over in the house last Sunday, 7 days ago. Now, of course, I understand. So my support is, we're ending SARS, but you can't be asking somebody to, it won't be sitting on the fence. We need to, when all of this is blown away, things need to be done. And there's an engagement that makes it done. You cannot make yourself the enemy of the people that you want to help with the resolution. You cannot, you can't reprobate and appropriate. You can't be inside and outside. So while some people will ensure that, yes, the negotiation is happening and is listening, there at least be a lot of conditions. Someone is also asking, why don't they join forces? Why don't they join together? You can't tie old and new together. It will rent in pieces. So what you need to do is, and that's the reason for this guidance as well, to say, look, we all want the same thing. Is there a way this conversation can be brought together in such a way that those who are protesting legally, and those who are advocating, the protest is being useful for the advocacy? Because what's also happening is, we have people that are protesting and say, no, that person is not our leader. Somebody wants to be leader. He wants to go and collect bribe on our behalf. We don't have a leader. And all those conversations will not help us move forward, because there's only how long you can keep the momentum going before other people join you who don't have the same intentions, before it rolls into something else, and then government steps in and they will have a good excuse to do so. So, but over to you, Sega. I think
you have answered the question already. You actually answered the question already. The truth is this: I don't want to lead anything. For people who understand what I've been doing for many years, I've always said, I am no one. I want nothing from you. I'm not interested in ruling over anybody. There's no, even in our organization, there's no vertical. In other words, there's no pyramid. We work hand in hand. Anybody can handle anything. If you go to Akure, for example, we have a state ambassador, Yomi Fashikwe. Fashikwe is not on any salary whatsoever. Fashikwe is a volunteer and he represents us there. There are certain things he cannot do. You understand? So he's free to do a lot of things. We give him the kind of support that he needs to operate. If you go to the Delta State, Gwaminshu is there, who confronts police officers. In fact, he makes citizens arrest most of the time, and he gets into a lot of trouble because he has experienced police brutality to the point where they jailed him for 5 years for something he did not do. But instead of him to be bitter, he came back better, and he decided to say, let me contribute and dedicate my life to this and save other people from this kind of my life. And that's what he has been doing. So we have volunteers like that with stories, who are putting their lives out there. So it's not about me. In fact, I am getting tired already, which is why I wanted a case where a lot of people will see this, understand it, and take it on, embody it. Which is why I am not angry that you're using hashtag or you're doing anything. Use it, but be responsible with it, because you don't know the kind of danger you can be put in if it is misused. Every good thing that is made can be used for another thing. A spoon can kill, a fork can kill, a knife can cut bread, and it can also stab people. You understand? So it depends on the responsibility that you're putting it to. Because if I endorse some things that your use of something and you abuse it, I am liable. You understand? I'm liable, because if they will say it is the most prominent name attached to that particular movement or that particular campaign that people will call. Sega, this is your NSAS. Do you understand? How will I justify what I'm saying on the street? People smoking stuff and taking shisha, dancing on the road 24 hours, all sort of things at the expense of people almost dying in traffic and watching their business slip away from them. How can I justify the two? How happy do you think I get? You worked on something for over 3 years, close to 4 years, and then without anybody dying, and then in just a week of some youth pouncing on your hashtag, you are counting dead bodies. And then there's another imminent threat of a lot of people dying in droves because they rose against the state. Do you think I'll take that line down? Would that be being responsible on my side? It's not about being on the fence. It's about building a bridge to bring you and your government together. I don't need to lead you. Break your own leaders. If you know you're not ready to lead or you're not ready to come together, why did you put yourself out there? We have been protecting you before now. You know, there's no cause I've not seen. Sorry.
No problem.
So there's nothing I've not heard, you know, out there. Oh, you want to be king? Oh, can you imagine Jesus Christ? Yes, so this and that. It's not about that. I'm only telling you sincerely. I'm blunt and I'm very straightforward with things. I am a father. I'm a leader. I'm a company owner. I've worked in so many places before. I need this. I validate myself. So I don't need anything from anybody. I don't need any of these things to put me on anything. I don't look for appointment. I'm not interested. So it's not about me. It's about you. It's about your future. It's about your safety. If your government and your administration and all, they care more about you, I wouldn't be irrelevant. Do you understand? If the institutions work the way they ought to work, there wouldn't be any Sega Link at all. Sega Link would be talking about computers and some other things, and I would not even be bothered. I too get tired. I get frustrated. I get depressed.
I feel you. And I want to respond to a few comments I'm seeing as well. Somebody is saying, sir, you're not a Nigerian. Are you supposed to be part of this movement? I go to prisons. And I want to say this, Evelyn. This guy is a human being like you who decided, let me do something to help with this culture of impunity. Let me do a little I can do. Every Nigerian, if all of us, myself inclusive, if I can match what Sega is doing, okay, in any way, if I can match what Sega is doing and do it for a good cause as well, and we have 20 of us doing that, you know, then we'll have a lot of things going on, gradually making progress in Nigeria. And I don't think it's the time to point fingers and say, you should have, I've gone to prison, I'm not seeing what you're doing there. It cannot happen in all the prisons. It cannot happen in all the places. It's one individual. I don't know how it gets funded. Maybe he will tell us, because all the things that are happening, I can't see who is paying for it. You know, I don't know how it's being paid for. And you say 3 years. It's easy to do something for 3 weeks and get it funded. But it's taking this time. Yeah, it's taking this time. Things are going, lawyers are being employed. People are being given scholarships to ensure that they can come out of that system and be able to be usefully supported in various ways. There's a lot being done already. And like you said, it gets tiring. So if there's anything, I want us to be able to look at this and say, what can I do? What will be my role? How can I make a difference? It's not about being disappointed or being appointed. You cannot be disappointed when you didn't appoint.
I wonder.
Yeah, you know, but this is the reality of what's going on. So I'll take a few more comments before we bring this to a close. We have about 7 minutes to go. I can see a few gaps already, and I can see the things that we need to probably address. This is made for good resource for people to listen to. People have their biases. Some people say, Sega, you know, you listen to other people. I don't, you know, no, but everybody is open to their opinion. Opinions are free. Yeah, opinions are free.
The thing is this.
Yeah.
The thing is this: the ladies and the people in charge of this insurrection that is playing out now, I am open. I keep saying, I'm ready to help if they are ready to retrace their step, whatever it is. Like Pastor Adeyemi said, whatever it is that you start, you can stop. If you can put a stop to some things, you can press the button and say, look, I'm taking a step backwards. I'm retracing my step. We may be able to salvage this. But if this hostage situation continues, I really don't know what to say.
Okay, someone is asking, what about Ambassador Komasi? Do you have a comment about Ambassador Komasi's video? That what's going to be done? Well, I don't know. I don't know if you have a comment about it. I didn't hear what he said. The guy was very coded as well. He didn't say unconstitutional. Look, he just said some very interesting things from Putin.
You see, within the balance of between the security system and those people who are more or less the guards within the power sector, you know, they know that what has happened is really, really a grave situation. And what he said, if I were to decode it, It's not something, it's not that it's wrong, but it's not something that you should be expecting from a leader, because these are your children. Okay, you know that this is clearly a mistake. You cannot be, there's no how you can do this to yourself. You see, what I believe what happened was they did this thing, started from social media stuff, tweeting, people are donating, it got serious, they got verified. Jack even mentioned it, everybody's outside, they played into some things that people will readily, let's go out there and even express ourselves now. After all, we have not done this before. Now it started growing and it became a monster. So now that it's a monster, it's very difficult to talk back into the box. I understand. And they want to save face. They don't look as if I decided something and they're backing out. They don't want to whatever. But look, ego aside, be the one that survives. Be the one that lives afterwards. Cry out if you cannot solve the problem. Like, look, we made a mistake. We did this. We did that. It's not a big deal. We commend you for how far you've gone. We commend you for the way you appropriated resources and everything. Then they will tell you the criminality within this, even though you meant well. Equity looks at the form rather than the intent rather than the form.
Yeah.
Do you understand? At least you can make argument for all these things. But of course, when you look at it from all sides, like I said, I'm not taking offense and everything, because you stage a lot of onslaught. It's not just me. All our ambassadors across the states, they waged war against them because the state appointed them to be on the board for the judicial panel that was the president ordered. They went there to say these people are not representing us. Meanwhile, these people are not representing you. There are people in the field who have been working there for years, and government needs their take because they're the ones doing the cases. They know these officers. They can verify. In fact, they are expert witness in those things. The things that we're going to be doing in Lagos and all these things, there are things we've been doing for many years. Arresting officers, bringing this thing, giving them justice, ensuring this one goes to jail. That's what we're doing. The state is only sponsoring it now so that they can now have their own data, so that they can prove to you on the street that justice is being served just as you have demanded. So that's exactly what's happening. So context is serious. So like I said, what you don't know exists. Ask questions. You have an opportunity. There are resource persons online. Dr. Charles Omole is a judge in the US. He's a consultant to the Homeland Security in the UK. He has done a lot of trainings in Nigeria for all. There's no police officer you see today who has not gone through Dr. Charles Omole's classes, and they abused him like something else on Twitter. They cursed him. They did everything simply because he was telling them you cannot be looking at the ideal when you can look at what is possible. You have to sit down. You have to be ready to. They cursed him. They said to him, I have to be begging him. I have to be calling him myself. It was really sad. The guy said, I have never blocked people as much as I did today. You just see their yellow logo. They just come. LOL. Go. Why? Is this the future you want? Is this justice to you? You are claiming that you are fighting for justice and you are not tolerant. It was really nasty. So all the people that could have even appealed, they're already pissed. They just want government to respond.
Okay, so Sega, somebody says, what is the way forward? Because this protest is becoming violent in some parts of the country. What is the way forward? And somebody is also asking as well, how do we support? Some of us in diaspora want to support, but we may not know how to support. How can we support? And I want to say this because I think everything that has happened, I believe, I'm very persuaded that God is sovereign. Nothing happens without his permission. Even the devil is an errand boy. So good causes, bad causes, good means, bad means, they all serve a God end. That's my persuasion. So
all things work together for good.
Yeah. So I believe that there's nothing going on that cannot be harnessed for good. I feel that all of these energies are beautiful energies that need to be reading to ensure we can deliver the Nigeria that we deserve or we desire. So what is the way forward? From your own perspective, what's the way forward? One, and two, how can we support? I have seen a way I can support. I'm seeing that this activity that you're doing doesn't have a national organization unit. There's somebody in your team who is also ensuring that if the nation is not working to ensure that what is being done is being known, somebody within the auspices of what you're doing, who is working with you as well, needs to do the duty of ensuring that people get to know about this. And we'll talk about this. We'll see what we can do to collaborate in this guise to ensure that the news is out there. We may not all be able to do what you're doing, but there's something we can all do. You know,
You
in my
can do
mind,
it.
I'm
Yeah, of
thinking
course.
National Organization Agency needs to be taken over by a marketing communications company, you know, and
Exactly.
let's let it be public, let it be known that this is what you can do, this is what's going on. If
Yeah.
this is what the protest, if the protest is what has even I've not spoken with you like this on Zoom for
Yeah.
for how long. If this is what it has bettered, I think it's beautiful. But so how can we support, and what do you think is the way forward as we bring this to a close?
I think the support for me would be for us to get abreast with what is going on. We need to read wide. We need to understand, ask questions. We need to have more forum like this. We need to identify within the core of all the things that happen what we can do. Everybody has something to give. It doesn't necessarily have to do with money. In fact, we don't even deal with money. I prefer your expertise, something that you can actually bring in that you do yourself that will put a smile on the faces of people you don't even know, and that works for me. That's So anyone who wants to support can read Pastor Deolu, whatever it is that you see as a means of contribution in terms of what he can tweak in the system that can actually make our work easier. Let us focus on that and use that as a means of support. I think I will appreciate that more. It's about the doing. We build nations together. And that's our discussion over 20 years ago. That we are nation builders, we're the future, and we need to do something. And it was from there that I picked securities. You remember? And I don't know what you picked then, because I know all of you just became and everything, and then you didn't remember your promise to Nigeria, which is important.
We are playing
I
our
kept
promise.
my word. Aha. Okay. So way forward is this. If you know any of these people, tell them that there is no need to be afraid. You see, when people read my tweets, they think I bite people's heads off for a living. I am a very friendly person. I'm very open. I'm not as difficult as people think I am. I am not at all.
We're losing you gradually.
Together, they have to pick leaders. They have to pick people who would need to do stuff. But first, open the roads. I'm not saying get out of town. I'm not saying don't protest, but let people have free access and go to wherever they are going. Allow. You see, normally when you're protesting, there should be traffic warders. There should be. Look at churches now. Churches are having whatever. There are ushers. There are people who are there, security, traffic, whatever, making sure that their activity is not disturbing other people who are not members of your church. So the same way, this is like a church. You are campaigning for something. You are asking for something from government. Let people be supporting you when they see you, not cursing you, not casting aspersions to what you're doing. Because what you're doing. So that way, again, it's actually deflating, removing the wind from the sail of what you have. You say, Sega should support. I'm supporting you. But I can't throw in my full weight because in criminality, I can't involve myself in that. Because of what I stand for. If you destroy your habitat, I'm not afraid of them because I have nothing in my hands. But at the same time, I won't go and get my hands soiled because I want to look good to you. You will abuse me tomorrow after getting what you want now. You can imagine after working for how many years, and then the same people you saved from the stuff and all are cursing you and cursing your friends online. I have children who are online. Too, who reads all these things? I don't have time to justify my use of time. So these are the issues. Sometimes some of us have to just retrace our step. People like Dr. Joe Abba and all, he's being cussed out because he's saying things the way they are. But for some of us, it's all about the fame, it's all about the frenzy, it's all about I'm the one in that picture with that crowd, and it's not about that. Will fade away. And maybe if you have not noticed, America doesn't have your time. Election is coming. A major election is coming. This election is critical to them. And in the next few months, they are not in what's going on here. Everybody is just staying aloof because they've seen what has happened. They know what it is. Can this happen in America like this? Of course it won't. How many foreigners have you seen declaring openly and saying they're financing something? George Soros himself is not making his funding of the alt-right this thing public as such. So please, the reason why you have elders is for you to consult with them. No, they don't want to rule over you. We have our own lives and our own issues. You understand? We don't want to rule over you. You want to guide you so that anything you do, you can be proud of and it can be sustainable. Not a flash in a pan, and then you'll end up in prison until you're 95.
Thank you very much, Sega. I think it's a good place to draw the curtains today, and I think either has ears, let him hear. I believe that what we'll get out of this is good. I feel that, my advice to the people that are doing the fantastic work of doing the protest, let it be guided. find someone that has a reputation. My own belief is it's difficult for you to come out and say I'm a leader of what is going on if you have not built a reputation of trust that allows people to know that when you get there, you will not be compromised. So you may not find it amongst yourself, and you may not even find it in this our generation. You may find it ahead, but do find somebody who you can trust to be able to ensure that what you are what we are all collectively demanding for can be taken and defended in a negotiation table that ensures that it's not just a consistent raising of stakes and changing of goalposts, but that what is demanded for can be given timelines for it to be delivered on. And if it's delivered on, other demands can be made until we can get the Nigeria of our dreams. Some people are saying that election is near. What can it be? The study of places where they have had faceless, leaderless protests before, and they tried to break out to do something political, it did not work. It died. So if you're going to be able to do anything, it's like you want to act a season movie and it has 7 seasons. If you want to act a season movie that has 7 seasons, you must know season 7 before you start season 1, so that you can tie the characters together. And what that means is anything you want to do, there needs to be a long-range enough plan to drag it back so that what you're doing now is connecting to something you're seeing in the future. I think this, what we wanted to do was guide. We started this in the morning in church. We're coming out into an open space to say, look, we want this guided. There's potential in what's going on, but it needs to anchor into what already is going on. We can amplify it, and then we can get a lot more value for our country. A lot of people in diaspora are showing a lot of hope. People are excited from everywhere about what is happening in Nigeria. And I think it's beautiful, but we need to ensure that it doesn't derail, because we have a few days to.
And so as a passing word, people don't simply just jump from the fact that they are upset with the policy or even a ruling system and then instantly form a social movement with a coherent ideology that is capable of holding mass demonstration or overthrowing existing power structure. You don't jump from social reforms to taking over governments. There are different kind of advocacies. There are different kind of, if you study, these things are studies. They are not just things you do because you have Twitter accounts. They are things you do because you have done your homework. Every hashtag has a meaning, has a reason, have a purpose. You don't jump on it and use it for anything you like. It will get you into trouble. Because already nobody knew the potentiality of the answers thing when you bring it out to the people openly like that. Because people have pent up whatever. They know it's an ongoing this thing. And they have been waiting. When are we going to go out? When are we going to go out? And then somebody offered them a ticket, a meal ticket. Come and eat, come and drink, come and listen to music, party all day. We're blocking the road and it's going on in perpetuity. Of course, you have just opened yourself to a lot of things. Fine, you may achieve your own goal of surreptitiously announcing some certain things or establishing your notoriety and all, but the criminal activities within there, you have to take responsibility for us. So careful. I don't want this to be that. It will be, they say, the youth insurrection in Nigeria that led to the death of. Is that what all this will be summarized as? That's the question I want you to ponder. Because it's looking like that now. So all this jumping off, the conversation will have ended the moment the government says, your 5 of 5 have been approved. Thank God. So. Go in. Then surreptitiously start cooking up the rest of the thing. Okay, we have agreed to that. We're monitoring this and that. Please, government. So. We're giving 90 days, 30 days, like that ultimatum from there. Until you achieve everything across sector, they will respect you. You will become shadow government. Then begin to appoint your ministers, the people in charge of each sector who are monitoring things. Do like, what's it called, budget. Start publishing your findings, start doing all these things. EIE can help you with that. But I don't know why you people cannot afford to be strategic. The people who could have given you guidance and all, you are fighting them, you are arguing with them, you are hating on them because of irrelevances. How old are you? They've seen things you have not seen. They are in your 20s at the worst, 30s. I'm somebody who is 1 year older than me, I'm calling them Egbon. I'm respecting them because that 1 year is a difference. If I'm drinking or if I've drank Ogibaba within a year and the thing I've entered the wrong place, I will have died within that period. So 1 year is a lot. Let alone 7, 8 years or children, villages in between us, So nobody's looking down on you. I love young people. I appreciate women. We fight for women regularly. Most of the cases that get me into trouble are women-based. because I will not let go. I will not allow a woman to be violated in our society, because I have children. I have a wife. You know, I relate to at least every man is connected to at least 5 different women, whether it's your daughter, your niece, your
mother.
you know, what have you.
Yeah.
Your mother and the rest. So please, before you project your weakness on somebody that like to be treated this way. You don't know people, don't pass judgment. If you don't want judgment to be passed on you, please, let's work together. We can't hate ourselves. We can't be like those countries where they butcher themselves for a living. Let's come together. I love for us to come together. I don't want to do what I'm doing for good. I want to hand it over to you to put your own flavor into it and make it greater, make it better. We are not a success until we have a successor. I've been retired. You know? So, Pastor Dale, I need to join Channels TV now before Sheon gets into trouble.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sega. I think it's a good place for us to wind down the curtain
Thank you,
as well.
sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.